appropriating close to $1 million that rightfully belonged to one of his clients.
All right, so standing by for a legal analysis, I've got Renato Mariotti, CNN legal analyst. But Nick Watt, let me start with you there in Los Angeles. So you heard from the U.S. attorney there. Talk to me about the charges he faces in California specifically.
Well, Brooke, we have learned a lot more about those charges within the past hour. We were told by that U.S. attorney that the maximum statutory sentence for all the charges Avenatti is facing in this case, that would be 55 years in jail. Now, of course, that attorney and the IRS investigator were asked about the timing of this arrest. Now, the arrest warrant was issued on Friday, the same day that the Mueller report dropped. They were asked, is there a connection? The answer, an adamant no. They say that this investigation into Michael Avenatti began way back in 2015, and it was a tax payroll investigation, which in 2017 became criminal. Now, the allegations against him are that he lied to try and get more than $4 million in loans from a bank for his various commercial entities, that he also lied to an IRS agent, and that he, in fact, didn't file any personal tax returns at all for 3 years, while at the same time lying to this bank about how much he had paid in tax. Now, the other string to this bow is the fact that allegedly Michael Avenatti won a settlement back in 2017 for a client he was representing in an intellectual property case. He won a settlement of $1.6 million. He then apparently showed that client a falsified settlement document which said that the money would be paid in March 2018. In fact, these prosecutors allege Avenatti got $1.6 million in January of 2018, and he used that money, which rightfully belonged to his client. He used a lot of that money for his own personal and business expenses. Now, the IRS investigator called that, he said it is difficult to imagine a greater betrayal of trust. So those are the charges that Michael Avenatti is facing here in California. But as you say, Brooke, two different investigations that were apparently unrelated, but they do concede that they did coordinate between the two investigations in order to arrest Michael Avenatti in New York today. Brooke.
Nick Watt, thank you for the story in California. As for the story in this case in New York, we just listened to the U.S. Attorney Jeff Berman a moment ago from the Southern District of New York, detailing what charges now, what they dug up on Michael Avenatti, what he's charged with, and so this is all tied, Renato, to this extortion plot against Nike. Take a listen.
Through the alleged course of conduct, Avenatti used legal terms like claims and settlements and retainers, but these were mere devices to provide cover for Avenatti's extortionate demands for a massive payday for himself. By engaging in the conduct alleged in the complaint, Avenatti was not acting as an attorney. A suit and tie doesn't mask the fact that, at its core, this was an old-fashioned shakedown.
So, Renato, here's my first question. Out of Mr. Berman's mouth, saying that this was the first line out of his mouth, this is not aggressive advocacy, perhaps anticipating what Michael Avenatti's defense may be. How effective, though, might that defense actually be, and how much of a slam dunk is this case?
Well, the Southern District of New York case is not a slam dunk. In fact, there is a very difficult legal line between aggressively negotiating to get a settlement and extortion. Now, Mr. Avenatti appears to have crossed that line if the allegations that were made by the Southern District of New York are accurate. And really, to me, the turning point there is that he seems to be seeking money for himself for this investigation that he was going to be doing, as opposed to really seeking anything for his client that would be, focusing on what his client would want. But it is often the case that in a negotiation, there's going to be, about claims, there's going to be very aggressive tactics that are used, and courts are very reluctant to characterize that as extortion. I'll use, for example, Jeff Bezos went online, the founder of Amazon, and talked about how he had these negotiations with the parent company of National Enquirer, and I said publicly I didn't think that was criminal. But here, Mr. Avenatti has crossed the line, but there's definitely a defense there. The other case that we just heard about in California, not so much.
Well, hang on. Let me go. So the New York case, when I was listening to Jeff Berman detailing at the point where clearly, according to the complaint, one of the Nike lawyers was wearing the wire and gets all this, we'll call it colorful language from Mr. Avenatti. Michael Avenatti at one point just says, okay, just pay me $22.5 million and I'll just ride off into the sunset. If you're Michael Avenatti, how do you defend yourself?
What you would have to say is that somehow, there was a claim against Nike, and you were trying, this was going to end up, resolving that in some way. The problem for Mr. Avenatti is that doesn't appear to be strongly related to a claim. In other words, what typically you have is a settlement negotiation where you're representing a client that has a claim, and then you are trying to get money for that client. And you could be aggressive and say your client's going to go public and is about to go public, or file a complaint tomorrow unless you pay X amount of dollars. But here it seems very much from the conversations like Mr. Avenatti's focus on enriching himself. But Mr. Avenatti, at least in court in front of a jury, would be able to argue that it was an aggressive negotiation. He's a lawyer. He has, I think, an argument to make there. And that, I think, stands in stark contrast to the other case that you just spoke about earlier.
In California.
Honey, this entire situation is a hot damn mess. When I tell you I was not expecting this damn twist and turn, okay? This R. Kelly situation is getting crazier. America's just getting damn crazy. So now on top of Michael Avenatti being arrested, shit is getting real. If you go onto Twitter right now, there's all types of things trending. One, release the Mueller report. Michael Avenatti is trending. Nike is trending. And it's now also being announced that Mark Geragos, okay? Yes, famed attorney Mark Geragos, they're trying to implement him now and say he was a co-conspirator in all of this stuff with Michael Avenatti. Mark Geragos, he represented Michael Jackson during the 2003 sexual abuse allegation trial. He's also represented Chris Brown. And right now, this is the same man that Jussie Street Meat Smollett also hired to basically represent him during this whole fiasco that took place in Chicago. So the rabbit hole is getting really deep with this situation. I don't know. This is just weird to me because think about this. Nike boosted up Colin Kaepernick, okay? And Mark Geragos is representing Colin Kaepernick to go against the NFL, to basically sue them for lost wages and all the stuff that they put him through, right? And then in the same breath, they're taking down Michael Avenatti, and they're tying Mark Geragos to this whole little scheme. I don't know if y'all follow what I'm trying to say. It's probably getting jumbled. I keep up with a lot of information. Even if I don't report on stuff, I know a lot of shit. So I just find it really, really crazy that not only is Michael Avenatti being arrested and charged, with bank fraud, wiretapping, all this stuff, right? But now they're trying to attach Mark Geragos to it. And these are two of the biggest attorneys in the country. And they fight a lot of celebrity cases and everything else. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to fall back, honey, sip my damn tea, and watch how all this shit plays out. I don't know if this is a conspiracy to take down these men or if these men are involved in some fuck shit. What I do know is that CNN was heavily promoting both of these men on their platform. Mark Geragos does not contribute for CNN any longer, but I remember seeing him on there a lot of times as well. So I don't know, y'all. This whole situation is crazy. Okay, so I have another update. So if you guys do not know, as of 2 hours ago, Michael Avenatti was released on $300,000 bail. And so he's speaking about this. He's finally talking. He's not taking any questions. But I think he might be onto something. I think my conspiracy might be kind of right, that, there's some people behind trying to take him down, and he kind of speaks on this. So y'all go ahead and check this out. It just got posted online.
I'm going to make a brief statement, but I will not be accepting any questions. First of all, I want to thank the federal agents for their professionalism and courtesy today. They were outstanding throughout the process, and I wish to thank them for everything they did today in connection with this matter. As all of you know, for the entirety of my career, I have fought against the powerful people and powerful corporations. I will never stop fighting that good fight. I am highly confident that when all of the evidence is laid bare in connection with these cases, when it is all known, when due process occurs, that I will be fully exonerated and justice will be done. Thank you.
So on top of him being bonded out, it's also being reported by several outlets, like Black Sports Online. They're stating that if you read the full indictment, it shows how lawyer Michael Avenatti tried to extort Nike for $20 million, and how Nike was able to also capture Avenatti admitting that 90% of the accusations against R. Kelly are bullshit. And these are in court documents. So like I said before, this rabbit hole goes deep. So it seems like there's several conspiracies wrapped into one. I don't know what to think as of now, but this is just the information that I have thus far. So anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire crazy situation. Once again, concerning the Pissy Pied Piper not being allowed to go to Dubai. And then breaking news today that Michael Avenatti being arrested on some serious charges. And now, as of 10 minutes ago, more breaking news that's Time Mark Garagos, who's involved with Jesse Smollett's, his whole situation. Now they're trying to take him down as well. So I don't know, y'all, but the rabbit hole definitely goes deep. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how all this stuff plays out. When I tell you 2019 is the year of the damn scammers, it really is, okay? Anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire crazy situation. Once again, concerning the Pissy Pied Piper, Dubai basically distancing themselves from him, but his lawyer showing paperwork and stating that no, he did have permission to go to Dubai. And then last but not least, how do you guys feel about the whole Michael Avenatti situation and him being charged today? Breaking news. So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. All right. Deuces.